selectmen meeting to order for Thursday, January 27th. Two selectmen are present, one selectman is absent today. Recording for the town of Dunbarton is Mr. Martell. And Patrick Brown, transfer station manager, is also here. And Ian Kamal, town manager. Okay, Bob, we got old minutes.
A motion to approve the 7 PM regular minutes of January 20th as amended.
I'll second that. Any discussion on those minutes, Bob?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, vote right there. Okay, I'm gonna make, open up for public comment before we get going here.
Rate plan, no comment, just observing.
Okay. And you're gonna be up next, so stand by. Once you come on up, so we can, you don't have to yell so loud.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna close public comment, and we'll go to the business for tonight. You have a proposal on warrant, we looked at it last week, we need some more information, so we can either support you or don't support you.
Yes, and actually, some more information came in later today, but I missed a phone call from the woman,
Okay,
so I'll have to give her a call tomorrow,
so
but
this is about the can crusher.
yes,
Okay, so your floor is yours right now, tell us a little more about it,
I have a picture here,
okay?
gentlemen, to look at. That machine, basically, right now, the way we do it, we're only doing 50%. We have a giant trash compactor, it's an industrial trash compactor, that we crush the aluminum cans, and you say, why? Because if you don't crush the aluminum cans, you can't get any weight in the dumpster, so you're hauling a lot of air. Time, fuel, maintenance.
So it's more for tin and,
It'll do tin, aluminum, it will do glass, however, we don't crush glass. Our glass loads go heavy enough as it is.
okay,
If we were to crush a load of glass, we'd be overweight by DOT specs, for safety. So pretty much what this machine will do right now, it's pretty labor intensive, how we do it. We have the bins, we fill up obviously with aluminum, then you have to shovel the aluminum into the compactor, squish it, unload it, and put it back into another thing, so you're doing a bunch of steps. The machine that I'm proposing, basically you put it on the conveyor, it goes up, it crushes it, it's set up, the model that we're looking at, it's a model 170, it has a magnet in it. So when you're doing aluminum, you want your aluminum refined as well as possible.
right, don't they penalize us a little bit?
They can if there's a lot of steel in it, they can drop the price on it. Everything today is based on quality and quantity,
Okay,
weights obviously. So what that will do, the machine's set up, you can turn the magnet on, it has a switch, comes on and off, you can turn it on, turn it off. So when you're doing aluminum, any steel, it'll get attached to the magnet. And you can also do, like right now, we don't crush our steel cans. We have no way to do it. The little machine that we have, just, you would be wasting all your time doing it.
so we do just a little bit of aluminum, and that's labor.
So we do the aluminum, which is labor intensive. And the compaction isn't as good as from what I'm reading on this machine and the videos that I've watched of it. So you're gonna get more weight, less labor, means less trips. You know, more weight in the containers, less trips. I don't do a ton of hauls, and that's gonna be a downfall, but you need to know the pluses and the minuses.
Right,
I do 4 loads a year, last year, I did 4 loads of aluminum, okay? I would hate to give you a number and say, yeah, it'll do this, because I don't know, because I've never used one. This is a new, product for us as well. I would like to say that we should be able to increase our weights at a minimum of 50%. That's my thought on it.
mhm,
Right now, I wrote some aluminum cans, in a 50-yard dumpster, I'm getting between 3,300 and 3,500 pounds, which isn't a lot of weight in aluminum. When I tallied it up, the 4 loads of aluminum that I hauled, okay, typically, they go to the highest, whoever's paying the most money, which is typically goes to Northwood, they pay the most money. So, I think we made, off from those loads, just for the material, those 4 loads, we were paid, $8,294, $95.40 for those 4 loads. I did 1 load of steel cans. What's that?
For the year?
For the year.
Okay.
The steel cans only weighed 6,200 pounds. There's a lot of air, a lot of fluff in there, nothing's compacted at all. My thought is, we should be able to, if we stayed on that trend of, 1 dumpster, we should be able to go 2 years before we haul that dumpster.
Or if the price went spiked high, you could dump it.
You could dump, yes, yeah, if that price obviously jumped up, you'd wanna, but steel, those steel cans pretty much follow the scrap metal market.
Okay.
They kinda go hand in hand, but that's one of those products that they mix with their scrap metal,
Okay.
to change the grades and that sort of stuff.
I think Bob had a few questions.
Sure.
Well, actually, he's answered them, cause that was one of them, how we process cans now.
Yep.
And the other one was, would the can crusher do steel and aluminum, and it does,
Yes,
it's coordinated, it does both?
yes.
I was curious as to how many loads per month, or 3 months, or 6 months, or a year, but you answered that one. And, as far as a ballpark base price on the average, right now, it's what it is. In other words, when you're selling, you're looking for the highest price
Yes.
at the time that you have enough material to sell.
Yes.
So, you can't really give me that answer.
No, it's running, right now, the last load I shipped, which was at the end of December, was 67 cents a pound. Typically, this time of year right now, you don't wanna ship, cause it kinda goes down. And as we start to come into spring, summer, it starts to ramp, aluminum especially starts to ramp back up.
Unless the cans fill with snow, make sense.
Yeah, and they actually wanna dock you on that.
I'm just kidding you.
So some of the news that I just found out, I mean, this was a shock, I didn't think the electrical would come in this high. I spoke to the electrician, and he said one of the problems he's having, 1, is trying to get the material, and 2, the cost of the material is continually going up. He said, so we had to figure it high to cover. What information I missed today was that this machine is also available, and it doesn't say it in the paperwork, and it's my fault, I never thought to ask her until talk to her a little more. It's available in single-phase power, which is what Dunbarton Transfer has. I think the biggest cost, and I could be wrong, I'm not an electrician.
Yeah.
The biggest cost in this here is the VFD, variable frequency drive, which makes the 3-phase power, which that machine would run.
So you have an alternative with electrical.
What's that?
You have an alternative if you get a different model.
It's the same model, they just put a different motor on it.
Gotcha.
And it is movable, that picture doesn't show it, but is available with casters to move it around. It is movable.
It has to have indoor storage?
Because electrical motors, I would store it inside. Storage shouldn't be a problem, and the reason I say that is we have those containers now. Their purpose is to store recyclable material, so to get stuff off the floor, we start getting filled, we can run it right out and put it in those containers, that's what they're for. Fill them with recyclable material.
Okay. Another question though.
Yes.
So let's say you pick something moderately distance away, how many miles we're talking about? In other words, what's your round trip for say, someone moderately distance away?
I would say, I don't know exact mile, I never really tracked the miles.
Time-wise?
Time-wise,
Is it like an hour round trip, 2 hours round trip?
I would say to be on the safe side, I'd say 2 hours round trip.
Okay, because that's calculated into it too,
Yes.
because you're reducing the number of hours you have to put on the road.
Right.
And that's a cost center too.
Right. And like I said, if you can put more weight in, you can reduce all that.
That's what I'm saying, it'd be like 2 hours of your pay that would be
Right.
credited back to.
Right.
And wear and tear on the truck too.
Right. The other side of the coin is, like I said, is I don't know what the number will change on both of these. Like I said, I won't know till tomorrow, at least talking to, the factory. And when the messages she left me, like I said, I missed her phone call.
We got a little bit of time, to firm up our numbers.
Good.
Do you, any other questions?
I don't wanna wait till last minute, I mean, I
No,
wanna stay.
I understood. I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit more, against the idea, but the thing is, I think now that we have other options on the table, I'm a little more amenable to it. We need some more information though.
There's another thing that, and I don't know, Lean can answer this question, I don't know the financial part of it. And there's no guarantees, I won't know until, they're not meeting until February 10th. I've applied for a grant, which would bring, not for that machine, but for those containers.
Yeah.
They pay roughly 20% of cost. The cost was roughly 14,000. You'd be looking, if we got the grant, we haven't gotten, our chances are good
Yeah.
for two reasons. One, we haven't gotten a grant in a while. Two, we've already have the material bought and paid for, so there's no waiting. So it's a good chance, it's like every other grant. You're out there like
Okay, so
everybody
we
else.
need special boxes for this, or?
No.
Okay.
No,
Um,
these containers, so that money, what I'm saying, it goes back to general fund,
Right,
but can it be put towards that?
I think, I think it.
I mean, I don't know, it's a question for Lena, because I don't know.
Well, that's how you would wanna sell it on the floor to the voters, is that you'll know by then when you.
We would have it before that, if we was to get the grant, we'd have it
And
before.
what's the average lifespan of this piece of machine?
I
That's,
couldn't answer that question.
as a company, I mean, they're gonna say 25, 30 years.
I-
But in
I-
reality, what's repair cycles, and, it's in those, does it break down often? How long can I expect this machine to last?
I
before
can,
buy one?
I can get you those answers, cause I know another town that has one,
Okay, there you go.
and they've been using it for quite some time.
Another question would be, on the electrical.
Yes,
Their first, I saw the increase today,
yes,
it's gonna change because of the different type of district.
yes,
Gotta get more than one quote.
sure.
Okay, gotta really work
Sure.
on that, get some couple quotes first. That's where we keep it honest, in other words, we don't wanna buy off more than we can chew, and then find out that, hey, we're getting screwed. I don't think the guy's trying to screw us, he's trying to make a living too.
Right, right.
But the thing is, there's enough electricians out there, we can get competition.
Sure.
Okay, well, you agree with that?
Right, yeah. I was gonna say, cause it's almost like sole source, and it's easy, so it's a lot easier to see if there's competition out there by getting. You're calling people, if they don't call you back, they don't call you back.
Right.
And you can say, hey, no response, but
And locally though, we always like to go locally, but at the same time, we gotta make sure that local guy is not, like.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You wanna give him a fair wage, but we wanna not be treated that way, we don't wanna be gouged.
Right,
Okay, so, you get your homework done,
right,
get some more numbers for us,
okay.
you can't wait on this, because
No, I'll, gonna be on it tomorrow.
and, as I said, you changed my mind tonight by coming in. I was definitely against it last week, we will comment from that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a question.
Sure.
So obviously there's a warranty on that,
Yes.
and what would that be?
I think it says on the papers that Bob has. Should be right on there on the spec sheet.
30 days. No.
I would say it's probably a year.
Yeah.
Most commercial machines are a year.
But if you get those pieces of information, the thing is, and we're grilling you now, but the thing is, I think use this as a tool, because if we have to go in front of the voters, we're
Right.
gonna get the same number of questions, maybe even more detail.
The other thing that, she did leave on the message and let me know is that, should this go forward, town meeting goes forward, right now, they're 18 weeks out. So it's not something that happens,
We're gonna
you're not gonna get it right off.
to the summer, maybe.
You should let your electricians know, because some of them won't give you a quote because they're booked, but if you
Right.
know that you're looking for this in March, and then it may be, is it 18 weeks?
Yeah, she said
Then
right now,
there's time to
they're 18
schedule
weeks
and
out.
reserve that electrician for that work.
well, it does say that it does 10,000 cans per hour. And I don't think you get that on the weekends, so.
Now, we actually took some pictures, if you wanna see on my phone.
You've seen it in action?
No, of what, I mean, we didn't have a super busy week this week at the transfer. It was busy, but not like it has been. I
But
can just
the
show you.
onus, but the onus is a good thing.
So, basically, this is aluminum cans,
Mm-hmm.
there's one, this is what we filled this week, sorry, that's a steel cans.
Yep.
So that's 1 week.
And I've seen you numerous times in aluminum taking the steel
There's
cans out.
one aluminum, that's 2 aluminums, just this week. So, one, oops, sorry, 2, and then that's, little steel cans.
Right. Cause almost everything comes in plastic now anyway.
Right. But that's kind of on the aluminum side, that's kind of, normally we would go probably two to 2.5 of those, at least without any trouble.
Yeah.
When things are, weather's better and that sort of stuff, so a lot more aluminum comes in. So that's all the time that we're spending crushing it, like I said, if you don't crush it.
And as
we-
I recall, sorting it too, because I've seen you
Yes.
go through the dumpster, pulling steel out of it.
Right, and like I said, if you miss it, this machine will get it,
And
cause it has a magnet.
keeps the quality of aluminum up.
Yes.
Cause it doesn't have any warranty information on
Yeah,
it.
that's a question we may have, that's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's a year, but I'll get the information 100% for you.
Because, people are gonna, voters are gonna wanna know, well, is this good for 1 year, 5 years, life, they're gonna wanna like a vehicle, like a fire truck's good for almost 20 years almost. Are we gonna get, every year, the longevity of this machinery will pay off.
Right, in my opinion,
Yeah.
just the way I've seen our equipment last, I would not hesitate to say at least 15 years.
Okay.
Like it all depends on usage.
Yeah.
Like their compactor, they say 10 to 15 years.
Mhm.
Well, we're going on 20 years with the compactor. Yeah, we had to do some repairs to it, but you're probably looking at a $60,000-$70,000 piece of equipment, but we've hit the 20-year mark with it.
Well, you've convinced me, so the thing is, I just need you to do some more homework, get the information to Lean so she can get the warrant up, and, I was at Elton Thomas before tonight, so you did a good job.
Thank you.
So just for his information, I have a workshop scheduled for next Thursday at 10 AM.
Okay.
With one more pass on and if you can get that information for me, because public hearing is next Thursday at 7 PM at the school. Next Thursday's already the 3rd of February.
It'll be this meeting, but we'll have to.
Oh, okay.
We'll have the meeting in the morning, so I know what's gonna be final, so that I can be ready for the meeting.
Okay.
Thursday night, so if I can get that information
Sure.
ASAP.
I can do that.
And your quote will be good through March,
I'll ask her to make it through March.
yeah.
You tell me,
Yeah, I told her we had to go to, I said, this isn't a given, I said, we have to go to town meeting, so I'm sure they're like everybody else here, quotes all kinds of stuff, so.
Any last questions, Bob?
Nope,
Okay,
you answered those, and I think those are what Dave had the same concerns, so.
Okay. okay, I'll get you here, I got your information on, overtime.
Yes.
I think the reasons, the reasons you have there listed, very reasonable. And Bob, would you agree with me?
Well, cause you were shorthanded this week.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Snow
we're gonna be
removals.
Saturday again.
The only thing, I'd like to take, in my heart, I think we're micromanaging this transportation manager. I don't think we need to do it. I think Lean should be the approving authority as your meeting supervisor. It doesn't have to come to the select board unless there's an issue that she feels uncomfortable with.
I mean, I don't have a problem giving you the
Okay.
lean and
I mean, it
guys
should
updates.
stop, it could alleviate, more headaches for you, but.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
Bob, if
giving it to
if you're in consensus with this, I'd like to let Lean do her job as a trend.
If he communicates with her, so she has something to give us on Thursday night,
Mhm.
cause when we're reading those,
Right.
your emails, I can't communicate with
Right.
Mike and I can't communicate with Dave and vice versa, cause then it becomes a public meeting.
Right.
Attorney General says we can't do that,
Right.
so we really can't take any kind of action. If we're concerned, we'd have to reach out to Lean, and by that time, you've already said how you had to work that time.
Right.
So if you communicate with her, it probably makes it easier for us.
The thing is, we're taking her, work away from her, and the thing is, we're not paying her to sit around and do nothing, she's gotta be doing jobs.
I don't know, the last couple times I seen her pulling her hair out, so.
The thing is, I think that we don't have to micromanage, I think you can work between you and me,
I,
work it
as
out.
soon as, like I said, I didn't know this was all happening, I mean,
Would
it
you be,
popped up. And-
are you gonna be comfortable with that?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, you're gonna be comfortable with that,
Absolutely, yeah, if I have questions, we'll talk,
and that's all you gotta do is communicate, okay? And, you know, I've been critical of the overtime too, but this is very legit. And, the only thing is, sometimes as a manager, you just when it comes to like Friday and Saturday, thing is, if you know it's gonna be a slow day,
Right.
take off an hour early, let Andy close.
Yep, oh, absolutely, yeah, we talked about that. Unfortunately, I can tell you up front, I had 4 guys scheduled without me being there Saturday, and 2 are no longer there.
Yeah, and,
So,
you just
I'm
can't,
right up against
the
this
best
call.
plans are sometimes worthless, you know? So I don't have an issue with this anymore, and, Bob, I don't think you do either, no. Okay, and I don't think we have anything else for Woody for tonight.
let me just check.
Hang on. Oh,
Maintenance fund, he just brought it to your attention.
yeah, there is no maintenance fund for the,
Solar.
so.
Okay, I remember that we talked about it when we initially did it, they were gonna,
The thing is, I might, what we may do in the springtime, this is just, I'm free thinking here, this is free thought. Just maybe work with a road agent to see what needs to be done for you, to maybe move some earth around there, to make it work for you. The thing is, because he's got the machinery, we can go down there, and we can have the road agent work with you to figure out what we need to do.
cause like I said, what was supposed to happen is the solar company, we were supposed to work with them.
Right.
They had their little excavator, they were gonna dig it, and we were gonna take it away with a skid steer, so we just, cause the problem is I can't get over enough.
Yeah.
And a couple times I've slid towards especially in the spring and late fall, and I try not to haul them when there's snow,
Right.
to be done for that. But fortunately this year, I
And
had to.
I agree with you, but the thing is, we have to do something, but I would like to wait till the spring.
Yep, that's fine.
And, work with the town road agent to
Okay.
figure what we need to do. Bob, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, you know, I think we're gonna have to do it internally, but we have we can get Jeff to do it internally.
Okay.
If
I
it-
think it's a lot easier doing it that way, and that way you can go have a visual and
Right.
explain what additional needs to be done.
Yep.
Cause, the other company's gonna come in and go out as quick as they came in. You know?
Yeah,
You saw that with the stones, you know?
So, keep it on the stove, but.
Yeah, I'll talk with
Work
Jeff.
for now.
Yeah, no, I didn't know, cause obviously you gotta pay him, I didn't know, it shouldn't have come out of his budget, you know what I mean, that's why
Yeah.
I didn't know where the funds would come from.
If anything, I think the funds for this year, if we have to spend money to supplement his money, his budget, is come out of our maintenance. Okay, I think that's all that we had to lean on the agenda for this gentleman.
I believe that was it.
Okay. Marty, just keep up the good work and.
Okay.
Oh,
You'll-
one more thing, the fuel.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm only stopping if I go by, I go by the state pumps.
Thing is-
Okay, cause
Yeah.
every department does have a key code that's come through my office.
Right.
I don't know if you didn't know you had a key code.
No, I have,
Okay,
yeah, I've had them for,
But,
you just, what you
Six,
just said,
seven,
what you just said is,
10 years.
is the answer.
yeah,
yeah, no, it's not, cause sometimes you're right there in Goffstown, or when I go to Northwood, I go right past the state pumps, I get right there.
It's called a no-brainer.
So if I can save a few bucks and I'm right there,
Okay.
makes sense to me.
Lee looked at it from the standpoint that you may have been going, just to fill up glucose.
No.
No-brainer.
No,
okay.
I delivered a load Tuesday, and I was right there. I had to go right past them to go pick up water for the guy, so.
Keep doing
right
what you,
there.
keep doing what you're doing, thank you.
So, you know, sometimes when you omit just a few words, it doesn't, you don't read that into it. You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then speaking of credit cards for Sam's Club, I just requested a PIN number from the
Okay.
card. So
Yeah.
it should be all set going forward. I guess they don't send them out unless you request it.
Okay, yeah, their machine didn't like it.
Okay, we'll get that taken care of.
Okay.
And, my better half's been making the visits to the transfer station, I've been remiss, so just be with me.
Yeah, we was, wondering what's going on, we hadn't seen you for a while.
Yeah, it's, probably, I got a few more weeks before I can do much.
Well, Bob came in and filled us in on what was going on, so.
Thank you for your email,
Alrighty,
appreciate it. Okay,
alright,
take care, have a
have
good
a
evening.
good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
about the, warrant word changes, the wordsmithing that was done,
Yeah, this is, it'll be very brief.
okay?
This is a draft version number 4. You will have a copy of the warrant in front of you. I
Correct.
worked with the town clerk. She had asked me where the language came in on the very first paragraph, and she explained that it probably came from the previous administration. So we, removed the state of New Hampshire and just said to the inhabitants of the town. So that was shortened slightly, but it's just specific to the town, that we removed the wording of the state of New Hampshire. And then, she asked me to change the second paragraph, so it's a little bit easier to follow. We've included the polling time in the first paragraph. I think it's, if you go down to the third sentence, it says, in said Dunbarton on Tuesday, the 8th of March next, 7 o'clock in the forenoon, to vote on ballots in Article 1 and 2, because those are specific during the day. And then to follow that same paragraph and say that the polls shall be open at 7 AM to 7 PM, which is very clear, and then you're also notified to meet the same place at 7 o'clock in the evening to act upon Articles 3 through 18, and that number will change from year to year, but this really makes it very easy for anyone who's not familiar with traditional town meeting, how we vote on these articles. So then, Article 1 is, by ballot during the day, Article 2 is,
It should be
just
done,
choose the town hall reeves for the ensuing year.
I thought that was done on the floor though.
Yeah, it says right here, nominated from the floor.
Right, but look at, by ballot, Articles 1 and 2, look at that, Article 1, look at the middle
Yeah.
sentence. Strike 2,
Okay, article ballot on Article 1, and, okay, so it does need a little tweaking there.
see, they,
Cause it's not a ballot, but it's on the floor.
right, so Article 1 is by ballot, just strike number 2, and then go, you would either act on Articles 2 through 18.
All right, yep, I think you're right. Absolutely, good catch. Okay,
Agree, Bob?
if that makes sense,
Okay,
thank you for.
no, it's not a set of eyes, it's all we are, teamwork effort.
I did have the town attorney review the warrants, obviously the Article 3 came from the town attorney, so there are no changes there. Article 4 was able to get all the, executive numbers within the budget, to total the 2,781,151. What I did point out I wanna point out to the board is that, this total amount is actually $400 less than last year's, budget. And the reason why we came in slightly under is because the board had decided to try to keep a flat budget. And in order to do that, we had to reduce one line, which the board asked me to reduce the building and maintenance account. So typically, it would have been a $200,000 budget, we reduced it to $150. Made a few adjustments here and there, and the end result was that we came in like $300 less than last year. That being said, I have the, less estimated revenue to, explain to the voters what the tax rate impact will be. And, that is slightly higher from last year, because I anticipate a little bit more on the current use penalty. So the net to be raised from taxes is $1,664,592, and that is an estimated tax rate impact of $4.17 rounded for their operating budget alone. I did want to point out that in 2021, the operating budget, impact was $3.35. Then it was amended on the floor for 5 cents to allow for a 2% increase to give the, payroll, positions, a total of 3%. And, then they also had less revenues by 21,000, and then the board chose to use $295,082 of surplus. So that's why, for the same flat budget, we were able to still only impact the taxes with $3.40, because of the use of the surplus. The board hasn't voted on that yet. So I do want to point out that if there is no surplus used assigned for this warrant article, the increase for this operating budget will go up 77 cents. In order to meet that same, surplus, or that same flat impact, it's 100,000 is 25 cents per thousand, and then, so you'd have to come up with 306,000 to get 77 cents.
Oh, and, question, Lee, how much in surplus right now?
And if you go, I did give you guys an updated, unanticipated revenues, other revenue sources. Currently, I adjusted the ARPA grant money to go down below, because I wanna talk about that briefly, but if you're looking at the true surpluses from 2021, you have a total of 575,977, which includes the 79,000 from our property claim we received in January. The DRA tax rate setting in October said that we had 5.91% retained unassigned fund surplus, so typically you could use 97,000 to 927 of that money. And so that totals to 177,097. And then with the operating budget that just lapsed December 31st, there's still 253,921. And then we came in above our projected revenues of 144,977. So that totals 575,977. That without any, doubt and not touching, well, you would be taking 100,000 of the, DRA, tax rate retention. But theoretically, you have 575,000.
Well, the thing is, in the past, we put, surplus towards keeping the tax rate level. We have an opportunity to take a certain amount of money out of that 575. We're not taking all of it, but we're taking 300,000 of it, and we could actually keep the tax rate, level as last year. I think that would be great.
And didn't we move 50 grand in there in case there was a settlement with the
Well,
transmission lines?
When, I was going to discuss that on
Correct?
the larger sheet that you have there. I'm gonna just go off, this is a breakdown, a summary of the operating budget, the warrant articles, overlay, and the war credits, going from top to bottom. So the very first section above the gray line is the operating budget that you and I just discussed on this warrant. And it's $4.17 per tax rate, per thousand, and that's using 2021's known assessment, 399,463,829. Then I've also included all of the articles that are on this warrant that we'll be going through briefly again. Those total up, and that's with the revised number from, the can crusher, $174,000. That in itself is a 44-cent impact. And then if you go further down on the left, last year we had, proposed, $50,000 for overlay, and that was pretty much to make sure that we had enough money earmarked for the, utility appeal that's hopefully going to be settled tomorrow during our Zoom meeting, but that's not certain. So staying with that same number, we did increase it last year. That $50,000 is a 13-cent impact. And then we know of last year's war credits that were refunded. We had 63,465 that was returned to the war credits, in town. That's a 16-cent impact. So when you take the operating budget, 417, the other warrants, 44 cents, we add 13 cents for the overlay if we use the same number, and then 16 cents for the other war credits, that's $4.89. Last year when we set the tax rate with the new property assessment, that came in at $4.05 for the municipal tax rate. So it's still an 84-cent overall increase. Without doing any surplus use, you'll see an increase on the operating budget, but it appears that our expenditures are not as high.
And this does not include anything in the town hall restoration too.
No, that's still, that's, so,
Now, the only thing is that Article 5 may be null and void if you pass Article 2.
correct, but in the left-hand column, the from tax column,
Yeah.
the other one is surplus other, so those aren't even in your total of 174,000. Because we're getting, I did list the can crusher twice, because I'm not sure if the board's gonna say, we'll leave it on the warrant article, but let's do it through taxes. But I wanted to give you an idea of what the warrant articles themselves were gonna cost the taxpayers, if they all pass, from taxes. So that 174 could go down by a few cents. I think it was 39 cents is what I calculated.
This is very, I appreciate this is clear, thank you. So the big bogey in the room will be, Bob, is how the contract comes in.
Right.
I mean, how much surplus do you wanna put towards it, lies, put towards the taxpayers, using their money for the
Okay,
lower
so
taxes.
when we go back to this, unanticipated revenue, I moved the ARPA grant to the bottom, Bob, because I was advised, that if you include the wording in the ARPA grant, of the ARPA grant monies in the warrant article, that if the article gets shot down, then you can't use that ARPA money towards that project. So what I was advised to share with you is that you should word it so that it is either from surplus for that $300,000, and then mention on the floor that you will use to offset, rather than use the surplus, the ARPA grant money that we have, that you have the liberty of spending any way that you choose, because the new, the new rulings on this is that capital improvements we can spend that money on it. We have, you can use it on the fire department, you can use it on the transfer station, you can use it on the town office, anywhere you'd like, but that should not be included in the language of a warrant article. If the warrant gets shot down, then you can't use that money specifically for that particular project. You can use it elsewhere, but you just wouldn't be able to use it that. So I kind of separated them just to give you an idea of what we have for true surplus. And then we do know that when we set the tax rate, we had 5.91% of, DRA fund balance retention. You could theoretically spend the $638,000, we did have at one time, remember with one of the previous boards, $28,000?
Yeah, the thing is, we're not doing that.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we've never touched our surplus, this is what we're receiving today from 2021.
Right.
So theoretically, 638 and 575 are funds that are available that are not
I
earmarked.
think that most we'd spend would be 97,000.
Correct, which would be the one, almost
That
Plus,
is-
0.91.
us were concerned about, the utilities.
Correct. We
Because
have-
that's why we moved the 50 grand in there.
Yeah.
To begin with, was if we get nailed,
Yeah.
we'd have 50 grand behind us.
Correct, yep, yep.
That might be the keep the rainy day fund for that purpose. Bob.
I really don't think we should touch, as far as, the 5% that we're
Right.
supposed to have. I really don't think we should go into that monies, because we saw what happened to other towns. Until the insurance is settled, they had to borrow from other towns next to them to have the equipment that they needed.
Okay, so the other thing too, that the auditor has said that they are now tracking from year to year our overlay that's being earmarked in a assigned fund balance rather than unassigned fund balance. That way, when we go to deplete or pay out that large sum, because 2 years ago we paid $100,000, the interest alone was like $26,000. So they are now looking at understanding what we need to make sure that that's not becoming the unassigned fund.
Right, there's not labeled business.
It's labeled differently now, so that is really definitely a
Well,
plus.
Bob, I see an opportunity to definitely return some excess surplus to the taxpayers of the town.
Yeah, but I'd like to leave some there to address that concern with the utilities.
Agreed. The thing is, because what we don't wanna do is, come October, we're raising your tax rate another $2 because we got stuck with the utilities assessment against the town.
Right, cause that happened one year, when they did get a settlement that favored them,
Right, we
and
lose,
our taxes were impacted.
correct, because if we pick up, for example, 5 million in new property assessment, if we have to give back 4 million to the utilities because we're trying to come to a compromise, which means we have to reduce their utilities values, that's gonna reduce their intake for tax revenue, and even though we've
I think we'd probably,
increased our.
we'd rather keep, maybe a little bit more in reserve.
So I think when we have our heads together,
Yeah.
all three of us, you know, and then we can share, everybody has a different opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think there's enough room to come to a consensus though.
yeah.
So next Thursday morning is when we're gonna decide or make some,
Yeah, you're gonna put that notice out.
for the, workshop meeting?
Workshop.
Absolutely, yep. I
Okay.
have the agenda ready to go.
This was, very good, Lean, I like that,
Okay.
it's clear.
And then as far as the remainder of the warrant articles, again, I did get a number from the restoration, group as to what they would be giving the town for donation from their funding. Other than that, I still have to wait from the board to
Was that
decide.
74 number?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, that is a good number, I confirmed it with two people in that group. So I don't have the estimated tax rate impact, if there will be, unless
which will decide when, that Thursday morning.
Thursday morning, I have to decide. And there were no changes on the remainder, I think the attorney caught that,
Don't see anything in red in the rest of them.
yeah,
You have to, in the puppy mill's been, we have, I saw the puppy mill, signatures in.
the deadline for, petition warrants is next Tuesday, so that still has to be open. It's possible I could add another
Okay,
petition
so do you
warrant.
put a number by that now?
There is no number there?
16,
15, yeah, it's number 16.
number 16, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
And so hopefully we have no other new articles to add, but we'll have to wait until the end of Tuesday to find out. And if they meet the signature requirements, then it'll have to go on.
I just wanna say thank you for the hard work there.
Yeah, it's coming along, it's finally, I'll be working on the town reports now for the next few days. And then hopefully we'll be ready for copies to distribute at,
But I think you went through our operating budget, that's good, the meeting changes, good. Unanticipated revenues, we got that, budget surplus, we got that. MS, you got the MS 636,
I did give you a copy of it, again, that is the document from the Department of Revenue that is required to be posted with the warrant. Everything is ready, just waiting for the numbers from the article, the library article.
so we'll call that work in progress.
Yeah, and it's coming along, so, and the DRA's already approved it, so.
Okay. All right, next item, I think, budget, we put budget aside for a moment. My head hurts, I didn't do much of that. I know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby, we're gonna sign, milfoil grants, we can get that in. We're gonna get a grant for, this is, we signed a grant proposal to the, Department of, Environmental Services. We're basically asking for a grant of $1,010.
And they do all the grant writing and the, bid collection and whatnot, they're all licensed, so it's a pretty easy process. You do have to make a motion,
Okay,
and then,
and I'll make a motion that we accept the total grant of $1,010 from the NHDES, New Hampshire, State of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. And the grant is to essentially, help us with the exotic aquatic control project in the area of, Warm Pond.
Second,
All in favor?
well,
Any discussion on this?
yeah, I just, just said it, because people do watch this, that's the only way we get to stay on that list, is by applying for the grant and getting it in, I don't know if we did stay on the list, if we're approved or not, but whether or not, so far we've been approved, and it's been, a very good experience with this last milfoil treatment,
right.
because these are the cheapest amounts we've spent.
Well, we actually got, the chemical treatment 2 years ago, it might have been 3 now. It was guaranteed to give us 2 years of milfoil free. This is just the preventative, step, which is to hire divers to go and look for anything that might be on the ground of the pond. And we haven't had to use the divers for the last 2 years, because DES does have some, funding for how, in-house diving, So if there's a question where one of the abutting residents points out what they think is milfoil, they'll send out their own divers first to see if it actually is milfoil, just a natural, plant that's not invasive. And then they would reach out to these guys to say, hey, we do have, some milfoil, we need you to
Right.
eradicate it. But then we also have over $16,000 in the capital
Well, I was
reserve.
gonna say, and even if they find nothing or very little,
Yeah.
the residual money goes back into that
It stays
account,
right there,
you know,
yep.
the exotic plant accounts.
Yep. So it's a
I
good-
just wanna make that clear so that anybody's
one
watching,
notice, yeah.
they realize there's no real loss, and I think we're coming out ahead, cause
No,
I can remember 20,000 a year going into milfoil control,
Yeah,
and it was a constant,
yeah.
you know, so.
look at my signature page, I'll find it.
It's
So now
the one
you
with the
can
yellow
take-
sticker, it's the yellow,
Now you can take a motion to.
Yep, no, we're gonna, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. It's Bob signs it, I'm signing, I said, I'm certifying, I'm duly elected as officer at Dunbarton, okay, where do I sign?
Where it says Mike.
I know, I initial every page, but there's no signature page for me,
right under the first page.
not even, well, I'll get this first page.
Yeah, it's on the left, see the blue flag on the left?
Yes,
That's the page,
it's hidden,
there we go.
Yes,
oh, too easy.
It is blue instead of the.
I knew that was gonna stump you, put the flag on the other side.
It did, I've been going on this side, and Bob, you have one signature, you have to witness me there.
Yes,
Confused, one with you on it.
just that you
Take it.
attest that he's authorized to get me out of here.
The thing is, the public doesn't realize, but the thing is, we were paying, as Bob said, up major dollars. And the control that they put on this by keeping it, active, observation of this problem, it keeps it financially under control. And the lake better for residents.
It's just going
Is it
on.
with,
Just one pond, and the things,
These are all Mike's.
we actually looked at other ponds in town too, and they were found at zero.
What it is, the program spans all the ponds.
Oh, there we go.
Going Pond was the only one affected, but they didn't neglect to watch Kimball, Long Pond, and Purgatory Pond. So there was an oversight on all those other ponds also, so it was a benefit to all of those ponds along the town.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mailbox items, Bob, we'll keep charging on. We got a request from the, Dennis Meyer's office to send the, updated specifications to the people, so people may be forgotten, not on the distribution list, but in my opinion, Bob, that's not Lean's job, that's the job of the people that are being paid to do the contracting. So, and as I recall, there's only one qualified bidder. So it's just the specifications. All right, Lean posted, the public hearing, just a copy of the public hearing she posted, great, well written.
Yeah, it's on the marquee outside by the road.
Yep.
It's on their outside marquee, it's also at the library marquee coming,
Okay, great.
west, and then they posted it down by the community center and at the entrance to the
And
school.
what page two?
And in the newspaper, yesterday,
Okay, what page two?
yes, it is on the webpage, yeah.
We got a town report dedication, I saw the write-up, it looks good, I'm not gonna tell anyone who it is. It's a secret. Leo, it's not you, I'm sorry.
Oh,
And me, I don't like, doing those.
Maybe next year though, how's that?
I'll quit.
All right, we got a write-up from, Sergeant, Chief Remenard, wrote up formerly Sergeant Remenard, but Chief Remenard wrote up a good, summary on his vehicle. And it was courtesy copy for us, what he's gonna be, going to the town voters and explaining his great need for a new vehicle.
yeah, Dave Knoll had asked me to ask him that information, that question, so.
Yep.
I think we
This
got-
request from Woody about the solar panels, we took care of that already. John Casey, we have to have a so in case if we get this to Linda, she's gonna have papers drawn up for,
Right, well, the board has to approve the,
Yeah.
appointment, so.
I'd say we defer it to next week, let all three members of the board chime in on that one. And, but at the same time, Linda can get papers on that. This is
His
for-
current term, which is a one-year appointment, expires in March. I got the trustees to meet this week, so we kind of went over some business, so it was a good meeting. And they have, are asking John to stay on as an alternate, so in the event they need a quorum to do
I think
business.
that's great, but I think we vote on it next week and we have a certificate, the paperwork from the town clerk.
Good.
We also have an award to be given out, Bob, I shared this award with you earlier, we just hold this award, the recognition for the, maybe at the public hearing meeting.
Yep.
And Lean, if you could get it framed for me, that'd be good.
Okay,
There's 3 stickers in there that we give to the awardee too. Sorry to be secretive about that, but we like to have some surprises in town. We can't let everything out of the bag.
Everybody already knows.
No, they don't. No, they don't, not in that one,
What is it that you give him?
a piece of paper.
Trying to get him on record.
Okay, I'm gonna open up for public comment again. All set?
All set.
Okay. Back to the board, I'm gonna start with the town manager.
town administrator, but, I have nothing further at this point.
Would you like?
Oh, I did, I have not received the selectmen's, town report yet.
So Dr. Dave said, remember 2 weeks ago, he said it was just about done. And so, he's gonna have to come to we have not seen it, so we like to chime in on it too, so.
He was supposed to send us a copy before he left.
He said he hasn't had a chance to get to it.
Well,
I said, do I need to reach out to the other selectmen? He said, you can feel free to do that, I wouldn't be offended, but just wanna let you know that I,
Well, he said he had it, but you, he's.
I don't wanna have to change everything after he reads it.
When is your drop dead date?
if I announce that on here, everyone will come in with their
Okay.
town reports late, but I've already got 90% of the schools. Usually the final changes to the town report are right after the public hearing, cause I have to get
So
the,
Dave will be in town.
yeah.
Okay, we'll see, we'll leave it at that,
I'll send him a note that he's
Okay.
gotta get it done.
because we have to chime in on it too.
Yep.
Yep, okay. Bob, to you.
I have nothing.
Okay. I just wanna, express, the town administrator, I called her the town manager earlier, but the town administrator, I think she did a great job with budget this year. I think every year that goes by, she gets better and better at this, so
Yeah.
you can't quit. It's a challenge, I just want for the public, putting this budget together is a challenge.
It has gone a lot smoother these past
Yeah.
few years, so.
And the thing is, the first thing, every time a new selectman comes in, she's gonna educate the selectmen on the budget process, which is a challenge above and beyond everything else. But, thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm all set, I'm ready for a motion, Bob.
Motion to adjourn.
Time is
At
7:50.